Are you a racist? Do you hate Mexicans?
I'm ready for the great cleansing, dude.
Cleansing?
The cleansing.
What cleansing?
When we genocide conservatives in this country.
Are you gonna be out in the streets with your Glock?
Maybe. I gotta go back to Nebraska and grab it.
Here's the question that I have on that. These two men are both elderly. Donald Trump is an elderly man who, for whatever reason, was given 9 seconds to take a iconic photo op during an active shooter situation. Weird situation. We'll figure that out one day. But his survival of that and bouncing right back and going right to his convention is being conveyed in the media world as a sign of strength. This current president of the United States is 81 years old and has COVID. Should he be fine in a couple of days? Doesn't that convey exactly the same thing? That he's strong enough, older than Trump, to have gotten something that used to really be fatal to people his age. So if he does fine out of it and comes back and is able to do rallies, isn't that exactly the same?
I mean,
it's not exactly the same. It's not the same incident, but it's an elderly man coming through out of an illness.
It should.
You're 21 years old. What do you do for fun?
Just whatever. Play a lot of basketball. I'm no good, but I play a lot of it.
Where do you live 13 hours away to where you're the basketball player in the city?
I'm from Noonan, Georgia, but I live in Dahlonega currently. I go to school at the University of North Georgia.
Are there black people around there?
Not a lot at the school, but there are some.
President Trump, I noticed you grabbed your
Say
microphone.
it. Say it. Whatever you're thinking, say it.
What a great institution.
What do you do?
So we own a tattoo shop up in Tacoma, Washington. We actually just moved here to Austin for transitioning our lives, but right now I'm working at Trader Joe's.
Okay. What are
Yeah.
you doing at Trader Joe's?
Just like
Trader Joe, that's what we call this guy. He's sold out this country.
yes.
Oh yeah, look at this guy over here, huh?
No, you just got fucked up, Mr. President. He just got you real good there.
I feel like I just tripped up some stairs after that one.
Going to admit who you're voting for?
I would love to vote for Kim Jong-un, our dear leader, but I guess I'm in America, so I think Trump is the most Kim Jong-un type of guy that I could vote for.
Oh.
I respect him in my Korean soul.
Is that where you are? I was trying to figure it out.
I'm Korean.
All right.
South Korean. Thank you for...
Gross. Ew.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
What happened last week when they took a shot at my hero and they tried to kill the next president of the United States? Enough was enough, and I said, let Trumpamania run wild, brother. Let Trumpamania rule again. Let Trumpamania make America great again.
USA, USA, USA. What'd you think of that, Alan?
I tell you what, what's his name actually does Trump's voice really scary good.
Shane Gillis.
Yeah. Like that other dude was a terrible Biden, but Shane Gillis is an amazing Trump. It's one thing I've never been able to do. I can't do voices. They don't work.
Yeah. So what'd you think of Joy Reid saying, hey, if Joe Biden survives COVID, that's the same as Donald Trump surviving an assassination attempt. What'd you think of that? What a dummy.
Well, because everybody is obviously seizing on the whole thing of she's trying to make having COVID the same thing as getting shot at, and
Right.
obviously everyone's jumping on that, and obviously that's fake and gay.
Yeah.
But to me, is look at it from the other perspective, is they're grasping for straws for something for Biden to hold on to. Like, well, Biden doesn't actually have any accomplishments, and he has no momentum, and he's losing funding, and he's dropping in the polls, and it's like, okay, well, we need a win, right? Like, we need a win to turn this thing around. And the win that they're hoping for is he doesn't die. If he lives to Monday, then they're going to say, the headlines are going to say, a rejuvenated Biden is back on the campaign trail. He didn't die.
Well, I'm sure you've heard about the rumors swirling around that he may be dropping out soon. So, Alan, your prediction of Joe Biden being on the ballot, it's looking pretty bad.
I actually think my prediction is still looking great because you're listening to the people who are the ruling DNC elites that oppose he and his ruling DNC elites.
Yeah.
So that you can ignore all of that noise.
Well, they said that he's going to have some announcement soon. So I'm wondering what is that going to be? Some announcement. He survived COVID after all these, after all this time. Is that what it's going to be?
Well, I mean, they announced this very day how he's responding well to treatments and is already recovering from COVID and is getting ready to get back on his campaign schedule. And they released a letter from his campaign staff saying that he was looking forward to the Democratic convention following the Republican convention. So, yeah, noise. You can just block that crap out. Look, if they were really wanting him gone, so first of all, he has to go.
Yeah,
like he has to decide. He owns the delegates. He's gonna win. He's gonna win the nomination. He's the guy. They already rigged the nomination for him. So when you rig it for someone, that means they win it. So Biden is going to be the nominee. He would have to choose to quit. So if he doesn't choose to quit, he won't. If they had convinced him to quit, then this whole I got COVID, I'm going home to isolate thing, that would have been the time, right? When he's isolated this weekend, he would have a little powwow with his family, and then they would come out at the end of the weekend or on Monday saying that they've prayed about it and he's decided to step aside. So if he's still in the race on Monday morning, you can just forget this whole news cycle happened and you can just move right along to the next one.
Do you think it was funny? I don't know if you saw the tweets also about this, where Joe Biden wouldn't explicitly endorse Kamala Harris if he were to drop out. He wouldn't just, I'm not going to support my vice president. We should have like some open debate or nomination process. That's kind of interesting, where he wouldn't just, my vice president, I think Kamala Harris is ready.
Well, I mean, his exact statement, because I had it on It's Too Late on Wednesday. Well, well, first of all, he called her Trump. I mean, there was that.
Right,
but if we're forgetting the dementia part of it and only looking at the
it's pretty hard not. Yeah, it's pretty hard. Yeah.
He did say that if he didn't think that she could do the job, he wouldn't have picked her to be the vice president. So let's start there. Those were his exact words. After that, there was a whole bunch of mumbling, and the closed captions can't, it's just question marks. But he did say that. Obviously, that's not an explicit endorsement, but why would he endorse her? He's the nominee and he's running for president, and she's not. So they're, and I mean, and also keep in mind, she, as far as the current sitting administration is, she's the vice president. In terms of the campaign, because he hasn't picked a new vice president, that means she is the vice presidential nominee for the next administration. But if he resigns the presidency, she's the president.
Yeah.
If he resigns, if he drops out of the race, that doesn't just make her the nominee, because she's not the one who was a part of the nominating process. She wasn't on the ballot. Joe Biden was on the ballot. Your vice presidential candidates are not on primary ballots. She won 0 delegates. If Biden died today, she would become president of the United States. But that doesn't mean she automatically wins the nomination, because she would still have 0 delegates. Biden has all the delegates. So I think people are really confused as to how that system is supposed to work, because I think people are thinking back to simpler times when you had a president that wasn't either, 160 years old or have dementia, and you had a vice presidential pick that mostly just kind of sat in the sidelines and in the background, because the vice president is not really supposed to be that important. I mean, even you go back to like Dick Cheney behind George Bush. Dick Cheney was really the neocon in the White House that was orchestrating everything, orchestrating war on terror, everything else. And George Bush was listening to him on what to say and what to do. It should have been the other way around. But that being neither here nor there, if you go back to before even Bush, to like Clinton, Gore, and on back, you have vice presidents that for the most part were just kind of eye dressing. They didn't really do anything. And the president was the genuine leader, and his cabinet were the leaders. The vice president didn't really do anything other than be a part of the campaign.
Right.
And yes, if you go all the way back to then, and you had a sitting vice president for 4/8 years, and they were a good trooper, and they did everything they were asked, and they took all the pictures, and they went on their little foreign escapades to talk to leaders when the president was too busy or whatever, then yeah, you could say, well, that person would be a front runner for the next presidential primary. Still doesn't mean that they would run unopposed. It's not like they just get endorsed by everyone, but they would certainly be in the ring. Kamala Harris, we all know, was never intended to be anywhere near power. When she herself ran, like you take Biden, for instance, when Biden ran against fucking Obama, like the first go round, he got demolished, of course, but he was still polling above a few percent. He'd polled like 10 or 15%, and then he'd eventually drop out after a few primaries, right? Same thing with like Hillary Clinton. But when Kamala Harris ran for president, for the Democratic nomination, what she like the highest she ever polled was 1.2%. Then she dropped under 1% after she lost a debate to Tulsi fucking Gabbard, and then she dropped out of the race. Yeah. So someone who polls at 1.2% best case scenario is never intended to be anywhere near the presidency. So even if Biden just does decide to drop out of the race, he's still going to remain president, because that's another like interesting question, is if everyone is saying that he's too old and incompetent to run for president because he can't be president for the next 4 years, then why would he remain president right now? Why wouldn't he resign the presidency today? If he's either capable or he's not. If he's capable, then he should just stay in the race. If he's not capable, he should resign the office right now. But they don't actually want that, because then that would make Kamala Harris the president. In the same way that if he did stay president but drop out of the race, they're not gonna promote her. Kamala has, first of all, she has no chance to win. She polled at 1.2% amongst her own constituents.
Yeah.
No, she has no chance to win. And on top of that, nobody wants it. Like the Democrats don't want her to win. Are you kidding me? Like they're fine with Biden winning because Biden can carry the ticket, which he did once. And otherwise, he's just going to do what he's told. Because we don't even know who's running the country, right? It's not Biden. Biden's not running the country. It's whoever tells him what to do. But Kamala is just mouthy enough that she might get a bit uppity and say, "Hey, well, I have some ideas, you guys." So they don't want that fucking kind.
She's trying to be black, trying to get uppity, and
she's out there in these streets.
You're right, yeah.
So anyway, the moral of the story is that you gotta give it at least another week before you can say there's any legs to any of those news stories at all. I'm perfectly comfortable standing by my prediction because, again, Biden holds the cards.
Yeah.
The only halfway reasonable argument that I saw made was that they might tell him, look, we want you out. So we'll make you a deal that basically we're going to give you and Hunter a blanket pardon for all the criminal activity your family has been engaged in for your entire your 50-year political career, plus the shit that Hunter's been up to overseas the last like 10, 15 years in exchange for you leaving the race. And that would matter to him because if he decides, if he's stubborn and sticks it out and they decide to hang him out to dry, then if Trump, say Trump wins and Trump decides to go after Hunter or Biden or whatever, they could just simply choose to not obstruct him, just let him have a field day. I don't actually think Trump has any balls, so I don't think he would actually prosecute any of his political opponents, but it could be down the road. There could be someone down the road that says, okay, well, we're going to investigate X, Y, and Z, and the Democrat leadership can turn a blind eye to it. But I mean, Biden's old as shit. Like, I mean, we know that obviously, but I mean, just purely in terms of a life and family standpoint, even if Biden isn't the president anymore, a few months from now or 6 months from now, he's also not going to be alive anymore too much longer. So the Biden family won't have former President Joe Biden around all that much longer. I mean, Donald Trump won't be around that much longer. Yeah. I mean, he'll be around longer than last weekend, apparently. But
right.
But he but these guys are not young. So anyway, we got to reconvene on this like next Friday.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what's going on with good old Joe. See how he's doing. So I wanted to also mention about the assassination attempt, and I know you talked about it on your show with Scott Horton and all that. This is like, it's crazy. And I know there's people who are saying, oh, there could have been a second shooter. There's some other weird things going on with it and all that stuff and all this conspiracy. I mean, anything when regarding that. I mean, obviously there's the JFK assassination and all that. I mean, there's a lot of questions on that. But the fact that the guy that shot him was this close from killing him. I mean, if this was some kind of FBI, CIA, hey, we're gonna fake, hey Donald, we're gonna fake an assassination attempt on you, but don't worry, we're gonna get like an inch away from your ear. He's like, great, sounds great, let's do it. I'll look sympathetic. People will love me after they'll see me say fight. I'll stand up and say fight. Let's do it. Like, what kind of crazy person would even agree to? Yeah, go ahead and have someone shoot me an inch away from my head. Like, why would anyone even agree to that? It's crazy.
Yeah. So okay.
And the fact that I'm even mentioning conspiracy theory is like this whole situation. This is like a crazy moment in world history. The fact that I could have seen a sitting president get killed on live television, and now you see a lot of people too. They're like, oh man, this is our time. Like, this is it. I don't even care. I know Donald Trump. I know he doesn't agree with everything I believe in, but he's like the catalyst. He's like a scapegoat, I guess you could say. He's a scapegoat for that.
Yeah.
A lot of white men and a lot of conservatives, right-wingers, they look at Donald Trump as he's a symbol for that. He himself may not even be a conservative. He, like you've been saying, he's just a New York Democrat. Doesn't matter. Because that's how they perceive him now. He could be the most Democrat person of all time. Doesn't matter. He is a right-winger, according to the people who hate him. Everyone who hates him says he's a fascist. Is Donald Trump really a fascist? I mean, come on. Really?
I mean, he's a fascist in the way that basically all the ruling elites are fascists. I mean,
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
yeah, I mean, the thing is that he is a nationalist.
Yeah.
So that's certainly part of it. He's definitely not a free market capitalist, because he absolutely believes in government interventions and spending money. And he also, believes in nationalizing certain things and taking over certain things if there's people in the private market refuse to deal. So, I mean, in that extent, he is a fascist. But, but there's also a difference between calling someone a fascist, which a lot of them do, and actually saying they're a Nazi. Because Nazis were fascists, but Nazis were a very specific party. And they had a very specific leader of their party that he always gets compared to. But, there's been other fascists that have existed on planet Earth in the past, century and a half that weren't just Hitler and Nazis.
Yeah.
So when they compare him to that specifically, no, that's silly. However, I would say, what he actually is, other than just being a nationalist. I mean, he is really like an FDR big government liberal. He is a Franklin Delano Roosevelt Democrat. He is exactly the kind of person that would have been 100% in favor of the New Deal and all of its policies and all of the policies of the empire following World War II. That's who Donald Trump is. Now, progressives think that that's too far to the center, this outrageously far left-wing nonsense is too close to the center for a modern progressive. But that's about where Donald Trump is politically. So for a conservative shouldn't support that at all. But then again, is the GOP a party of conservatives? No, it's not. The Republican Party is not conservative. It is a left-wing party. So he is a left-wing, and he is the leader of a left-wing party. So looking at it that way, it's not really that weird or shocking. He's left-wing. The Republican Party is left-wing. There you go. It's just not progressivism. And so since it's not progressivism, they have to call him the names and all that. And vice versa, the people who are not down with progressivism, they're more than happy to just coalesce around someone or something that's anti-progressivism.
Yeah.
So, there is that. But even then, it's just funny. You're talking about like the people who, like they think it was staged and it was a photo op and all this crap. It's like, so somebody had posted online where they're like, it shows Trump on the phone, and they put a phone up to that stupid kid's head, like they're on the phone with each other. Yeah. And he's like, all right, remember, just graze my ear. You're the best sniper in the world, so that should be easy. He says, walk in the park, sir. He says, oh, okay. You're also going to get your head blown off and be remembered as a retarded liberal, but I'll know you were a patriot. That's what they have to think, that's what happened, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, so they're just unbelievable retards, It just, imagine, because everyone keeps on talking about how he turned his head at the last second, and that's why the bullet only grazed his ear. Imagine if you were trying to set that up. Would you, even if you knew that it literally was an Olympic class marksman, would you be willing to stand there and think he's going to shoot the apple off your head like Robin Hood? I sure as shit wouldn't. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
No.
Like, what crazy person is going to go, you know what? I know you're the greatest sniper of all time. I'll let you go ahead and do that. But like me, I mean, there's still that slim, very slim margin of error. Like, you better get this right, because if you don't, it's game over. Tim Pool wanted a civil war to happen, and it's not happening because I didn't die. I mean, come on. He's like the one that was most affected by all this.
Yeah, but Tim Pool, who's got to be like one of the cringiest people in America. It's just it goes to show you how low IQ the average viewing public is, that Tim Pool has more than like 7 listeners, because he's just such a cringe retard. But he's the one that's always talking about like literal war. Like we are going to have a war on the streets in America. But now keep in mind, he also calls like online activism. He refers to that as going to war. Like, well, no, I think war is a teensy bit more visceral than angry tweets. I have to
A little
say,
more bloody, people.
Yeah, it's a little bit more personal than tweets and blocking people when they get the upper hand on you.
Right.
So no, Tim Pool's an absolute clown. But even with that, people, a lot of people also pointed out how, like, the Republican nominee for president almost gets killed, and there's a whole bunch of pissed off Republicans, and yet there's no riots and no cities burned down and all that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool and all, but what if he hadn't turned his head? Because I think it's an interesting question of what would have happened if we all did literally just watch his brains fly out the back of his head right there on national television.
Right.
What would have been the response then? Because I'm not 100% sure. Do I think that there's a chance that there would have been violence? I do think there is a chance there would have been. But I think that on the whole, it probably would have still remained, mostly peaceful, because Republicans just, they ain't got it. They ain't got it in them to do anything. They're all the ones, because it's the same thing as the Second Amendment people, all the from my cold dead hands people, and the don't tread on me people. Those people are never going to raise a fist to the fucking local cops or the National Guard. Are you kidding me? Come on. They're not going to do it. They're
how would Laura Loomer react to that if that were to happen? She gonna go with like 5 diatribe tweets or something? Like, oh, this is terrible. It's the worst thing ever happened.
Yeah.
She's gonna like lock herself onto like Twitter's corporate building or something, or she's gonna like put on the fence, like chain herself to the fence of the White House.
Mm-hmm. Now, of course, I think the more interesting hypothetical too is that if something did happen to Trump, then who would be the Republican nominee? Because they obviously, of course, the attempt happened before the convention. He is officially the nominee now because he was awarded the nomination.
And at that time too, he didn't pick JD Vance as his VP.
Yes, true.
So
if it happened today, then I think JD Vance would be saying, well, wait a minute, I was actually chosen as the vice president. I was nominated on the floor. Trump was awarded the nomination. It should go to me. I'm not 100% sure that they still would, but there would be a strong argument. Before the convention, they wouldn't give it to JD Vance at all.
Yeah.
And I think that there is a pretty decent chance that they would just wind up because they wouldn't have to, the delegates would be irrelevant. No one on the floor would get to have any say at all. It would be 100% only a handful of mega donors and lizard people would get together and decide who gets the nomination. And then they would come out in front of the convention and tell everyone, this is who your next president's going to be, you guys, because you would have no say in it. And it would have been someone like a Nikki Haley, 100%.
That's what I was thinking of too. Yeah.
Because I had thought,
because she was she was the last one, I think, to be knocked out right before it was just Donald Trump.
Well, she was just the one who didn't drop out.
Right.
She never had any chance in the world of getting any delegates worth mentioning. She just refused to drop out. Now, because remember, Ron DeSantis won a state and then dropped out the next day after having just won a primary. Mm-hmm. So that's not to say that Ron DeSantis had any chance of winning. He wouldn't have won either, but he would have won more delegates. Like if he had just stayed in the race to the end, he would have won more delegates total. It just wouldn't have been enough. Not even close. So, I mean, theoretically, that could have happened. But it would have, because now what would have really been funny is if they had pressured Biden to drop out at the same time as Donald Trump, something befalls him. And then you have a incredibly unpopular, nobody voted for Nikki Haley versus an incredibly unpopular, nobody voted for Kamala Harris. And everybody would be billing it as, well, now we're going to have our first woman president because both nominees are women, even though like literally no one voted for them at all anywhere.
Yeah.
And they would still be the nominees. That could have happened. That's not crazy to think. It was that far away?
Yeah, it was really close.
I mean,
literally his ear.
I mean, Biden dropping out could happen. And if it did happen, Kamala being the nominee could happen. I still don't think he will. And even if he did, I'm positive she wouldn't be it. But she would at least be in the room. She'd be on the list. Yeah. So they, there's at least they could have accidentally picked her name. Nikki Haley.
Shit. Oh, fuck. It's Nikki Haley. Whoops.
Because see, the thing with Nikki Haley is that she was not getting like any votes at all, and B, a huge amount of her votes were Democrats who were changing party, voting in open primaries. States that had open primaries, the Democrats would vote for Nikki Haley because they hate Trump, and so that she would wind up getting like another 10-15% of the vote. If those were closed Republican primaries, she would have gotten nothing. Yeah, just like in the general
dirty.
Yeah. So imagine if it had been Nikki Haley and Kamala Harris, and because to me, it's imagine the mood across the country where you have 320 million people that would be going to work, driving through traffic, walking through the aisles of the grocery stores, going to church, watching the football games here coming up here in another couple months. And looking at each other saying, we didn't pick them.
Yeah.
Like you didn't pick either of them. I didn't pick either of them. And they're trying to tell us that in November we have to pick which one of them we want. But we're all looking around at each other like, did you vote for? No. Well, I didn't vote. Did you vote for? Oh, no. So it's hard to say. I mean, the further into clown world we get, the less I have grown accustomed to making bold predictions, because it's like you make what counts as a bold prediction today is just clueless nonsense in clown world tomorrow. I mean, if you had asked me 10 years ago if dudes would chop their dicks off and get to compete as women in races, I would have said, I'd have been like, dude, you need to get some help, man. You have some weird fantasies. And yet here we are, are. But with that said, you would like to think that the American public would draw a line somewhere. And maybe that line would be a major party candidate that at least is symbolic of being anti-establishment, gets his head blown off on national television. Maybe it would be that you have not one, but both of the major party nominees are people that like less than 5% of the entire electorate supported combined. Like less than 5% of all voters supported either Harris or Haley.
This would be one of those times where Republicans and Democrats are like, wait a minute, hold on a second. Are we being played? Like, I mean, you've been being played. Yeah. But also, if that were the case, if it was a Nikki Haley versus a Kamala Harris, which sounds like a fucking nightmare, RFK Jr. is like, oh, shit. And you know who else will be rubbing their hands? And not just because they're gay? Chase Oliver. He's like, oh, shit. Guess what? This is the best time for me to get in there. I can go in there and rape some stuff.
Yeah. So Chase Oliver is not going to get more than 1%. And even in that scenario, he would still not get more than 1%.
Wouldn't that be, isn't that sad that we're even saying that? The Libertarian Party, even with the two major party candidates who were like terrible. I don't know about this Chase guy. RFK Jr. though, he may actually do okay.
Yeah, but because that's popularity. But that's the thing though, is that the whole controversy for the Libertarian Party circa 10 years ago would have been, should we run somebody who's going to be unapologetically libertarian, which means they get less votes, but they're spreading the right message? Or do we run somebody who's more electable to try to get more votes, but we're bringing in people who don't really reflect the message, and we're just going to ultimately either A, muddy the waters, or B, those people are just going to leave because they're not in it long term. It's short term. That was their debate 10 years ago. The problem, you fast forward 10 years, They nominated somebody who's has no electability, but also isn't a libertarian. You're like, how did you fight over which of those two things you're going to support, and then you nominate a candidate who's neither? If anything, you because you would wonder out loud, well, wait a minute. If you were in the camp of let's nominate somebody who can win more votes, even if they're not a libertarian, and your idea was Chase Oliver, what votes is he winning? Who's the constituency there? So he obviously has no constituency. So that must mean you nominated him because he's a strict principled libertarian. Well, we also know that's not true. So I don't know. So there's no point in even wasting time talking about him. Now with RFK, RFK would also still again have no chance to win. I think people are just nuts for thinking that a third party candidate would win. The thing is that when Trump ran in 2016, he was the outside candidate, but he still ran for the Republican nomination. Like he was clearly the outsider. He was not operating in Republican circles. He was a Democratic donor. He was a New York Democrat that donated to like all Democrat politicians in the state in the DNC. That's where his money went. And so he ran in the GOP partly. Well, he ran because of him being slighted by the other members of the ruling class, particularly on the left, like when he got roasted at like Obama's last press dinner or whatever. Trump took that poorly. And so since they were the ones who pissed him off, he decided, well, I'm going to run against you and win. But since you guys will just rig your game to make sure I can't win, I'll go run as a Republican. And he did. But that made him the outside candidate. So if you look at RFK as an outside candidate, then you could say, well, he does have a chance to win because Trump was the outside candidate in 2016 and he did win. But he still ran for the Republican nomination and also against a field of just garbage. I mean, the Republican Party's trash. So he went to the trash party where all the trash pandas were fighting over this choice, moldy steak, and he won as the outsider candidate. RFK, the only chance he would have had of doing that would have been to actually, if there had been a Democratic primary and there had been like, 3 or 4 candidates, like 2 or 3 people ran against Biden. So it was Biden plus 2 or 3 other candidates. And then that forced Biden to have to actually show up to the Democratic primary debates, which Trump didn't. You'll remember. Trump didn't even bother showing up to any of the primary debates because he just said, oh, I'm just going to win the primary. So you guys can have fun. I'm just going to win it whenever I feel like. And he did.
What a boss.
But, hey, but so I think that's probably what Biden would have done is he would just say, well, look, I'm just the nominee. So you guys do whatever you want. But had they not literally, not just figuratively rigged it, but if they hadn't literally rigged it so that there essentially was no primary, RFK could have run in the Democratic primary, and it could have been kind of like a Nikki Haley situation where he would have gotten the protest votes, and the Republicans in open primaries could have switched and voted for him in the Democratic, because law Biden, and whatever. And so that could have wound up being a situation where RFK like had a few delegates, and then if something had happened to Biden, RFK could be like, well, the Democratic convention hasn't happened yet, and you're supposed to formally nominate a candidate, and that guy's gone, and I have these delegates, so I'm gonna really try to negotiate on the convention floor for myself. But we're not going to get any of that because he didn't run as a Democrat. And I understand that it's not like he didn't want to. He wanted to run he's a Democrat. He's a leftist. Yeah. Like it's so weird to me when I see right-wing people being like, well, we could have RFK. No, he's a leftist. No, you fucking retarded conservatives. No, he's a leftist. Jesus Christ. So anyway, he wanted to run as a Democrat. The only reason he didn't is because they essentially were not going to allow a primary. So, you know, if had it been a different year, had it been an earlier time, RFK would have just run as a Democrat, and he would have lost because he wasn't the hand-picked candidate of the elites, but he would have gotten some votes. You know, he probably would have won a few delegates in a few states. And if that gave him enough clout to kind of haggle on the convention floor, you know, could happen. But it didn't. And he didn't. And he's an independent, which means he's nothing. And so it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. Even in the nightmare scenario where like both of these old geezers croak and both parties are scrambling to just put up anybody with a pulse. That would be the only scenario in which, because that's what RFK would say, right? Is he would say, well, I am now the most qualified elder statesman in the room, even though he's never held office. And, you know, I've been running a campaign for all of these months, and these guys refused to debate me. They deplatformed me, but I'm still here and they're gone. So America, vote for me. I bet he still wouldn't get 15-20% of the vote, which if he got that little, he wouldn't get enough. And even in a wonky electoral map scenario where he got enough votes that none of the candidates could get enough electoral college votes to win outright, it's not like they would broker a deal for him to be president.
Yeah.
Both major parties are not going to broker a deal where they allow the independent candidate to be the president. That's so stupid. Sometimes you'll see those theories pop up. People be like, okay, guys, Bernie Sanders can still be president because if he can just get like 5 votes and then these two other guys are both tied at, you know, 268, then it'll go to the House, and then Bernie can negotiate to be the president, to be the unifier of the split electoral. No, you stupid fuckers. No. That's not going to happen.
That's too much math.
You're way more likely to get your ear pierced by a bullet than that.
And speaking of getting your ear pierced by a bullet, and this is going to be a whataboutism, so I'm just going to let everyone know this is a whataboutism. But what if, you know, or whatever. Like if the roles were reversed, like this is what it's going to be. But we all know if Joe Biden was in that position where his ear got grazed or whatever, we know 100% that the corporate media would be talking about it nonstop. We wouldn't hear the end of it. His supporters would be like, see, we told you these right-wing lunatics are taking over. These Nazis are going to destroy the country. We know this. We know this is how it's going to go. We knew, It would be a double whammy. So first of all, secretly, the DNC would be happy because then they don't have to worry about Biden anymore. They could just handpick whoever they want to be the new guy. Oh, Kamala Harris won't be like, hey, can I just come in? No, get away, bitch.
No.
We don't want you.
No. They're going to bury her with Joe.
Bury her alive? Oof.
Yeah. So anyway, they would be happy because they don't have to deal with Joe anymore. But also in that crazy what about scenario, I think that they would seriously renew their push to try to incarcerate Trump. I don't mean convict Trump. I mean incarcerate Trump. Try to make it where now technically you could still get elected while incarcerated. That we've had congressmen do that before.
That'd be hilarious.
But I think they would renew their push to get him declared ineligible. Like they would try to get him off of state ballots again. They would try to pull him up on a whole bunch of new charges. They would do everything they could to make him ineligible, so that whoever their handpicked successor to Biden is after this big state funeral, and it would be televised like it's fucking Princess Diana, right? After that's over, then the handpicked successor of Biden would be running against whoever the GOP picks when Trump goes to prison, and the winner would end up being the sympathy vote Biden replacement over that guy, which is really funny because in all of these hypotheticals you and I talking about, you know, what we haven't even mentioned a single time is any issues, any policies, the economy, nothing.
It doesn't matter.
None of that shit. No, nobody gives a goddamn. No one is even like just entertaining in their hypotheticals. Yeah, but what would this guy's foreign policy be? They're not even asking the question. No one even gives a shit.
Yeah.
Like you think of like the Biden stuff. So they're trying to push Biden out, right? And so all these news people, which by the way, they're just making it up. Most of the stuff they make up is made up. So it's not like that's new. But all these people who are making up these stories about Biden dropping out are also making up stories about, well, here's the short list of the people who are going to be at the DNC convention, and they're going to have to decide on the floor who's going to be picked out of these 4. And Kamala's already looking at her potential running mates. It's like, do they even for 5 seconds even mention like, well, this potential candidate voted for this? They don't even give it a token nod. Not even a single bit of analysis. It's just the current drama. There's absolutely no discussion whatsoever. But I mean, and frankly, that does go both ways. Like now with Trump polling at the best he's ever polled at, especially in this election season, following his near miss and because it's not just his near miss, right? It's also not only did Biden do terrible at the debates, but that's been several weeks now. He since then went on to do a couple of TV interviews to try to kind of like stem the tide. And his TV interviews, which you can tell they edit like 92 times, are still trash. Like it's literally taking them like a couple of hours.
BET interview he did. Oof.
Well, there was one video that they showed where it's like, they spent like an hour at least trying to film this 20-minute interview. And in that 20-minute worth of content, there's like 19 hard cuts, which means they just straight stopped filming, started filming. They spliced something together. And even with that, you could barely get 4 coherent minutes of speech. Like you could actually time it, and it's about 4 minutes of him speaking sentences with a capital letter, words, nouns, a verb, and a period. About 4 minutes. And the rest of it's just and edits, So he was already dealing with that, and then on top of that, then there was the assassination attempt. And also, to be fair, it wasn't just the attempt, it was Trump's response.
Right.
If Trump had dove to the stage and then cried like a fucking baby and then had immediately like tweeted on Truth Social, that shooter's a faggot, then it would not have polled as well. Yeah. But his response to it took a whole lot of your center and undecided people. And if the last thing you saw from Biden was him talking to Lester Holt, where you literally get 4 minutes out of an hour of him saying complete sentences, and then over here you see Trump get shot at and then stand up and fist pump, based on nothing else. On nothing else, you would vote for Trump. Though again, even in my own statement I just made, how much of that statement involved any policies? Still zero.
Zero. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
All people have at this point, the voters have made up their mind. I would be willing to bet there are very few voters at this point that genuinely intend to vote, and they really care. Like they care about their vote. Like they consider it an important civic duty, and they want to get it right. I doubt you'll find very few of those people who are also still completely undecided and 50-50. For you to be 50-50 on these just diametrically different last couple of weeks, even, that's hard to imagine. Do you know any, like personally in life? I couldn't tell you that I know anybody that has told me, yeah, it's a real toss-up. I don't know. I have zero people tell me that.
Yeah, well, I don't really talk to anybody, so I wouldn't know.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, I know you're not even allowed to vote being an alien and all, but
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
yeah.
So
You only get half a vote.
yeah, it's more than a slave back in the day. So
Yeah.
there's that.
Well, they wanted him to be 3/5, so less than a slave.
Oh shit! Oh yeah! Oh no, man!
Oh yeah. So
Jeez.
anyway,
terrible at math once again.
why don't you? Well, let's spend the last little bit of time we have. Shane, why aren't you talking to anybody? What's going on, buddy?
I don't want to talk to anybody.
Just
I talk to you. I talk to you. I talk to my wife and my kid, and that's pretty much it.
What about your mom and dad? You don't talk to?
I talk to them sometimes. Yeah.
Okay. All right. You got any neighbors? You talk to your neighbors? What about you? Are there like wife's friends? Do you talk to your wife's friends or
no?
Or does she not have friends or talk to people either?
No, she has friends. I mean, she's in chat rooms or whatever.
Okay, well, hold on. No, they must be warm-blooded people who exist in real life. They cannot be on the internet. I'm not a real person. This is a sophisticated AI.
Right.
So,
I'm sophisticated AI too. So everything I'm saying right now could be a complete farce.
Yeah. It's weird that you're so passionate about the 49ers to just be a computer program.
I mean, there's how many teams now? 32?
What do you mean how many teams? There's been 32 for... You say that like...
There's been 30. They add some, and I'm sure they'll add another one here in the next
You say
10
that
years.
Like they just added the Jaguars and Panthers like last year. Dude, that was like in 1997 or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
I don't know.
You need to talk to some more people. You got to practice. That's going to be our homework for this week. We're going to practice talking to people.
I'm going to fail this.
What is going on? I'm worried now.
No, that's all right. I mean, obviously, like I said, I had to talk to Nico, whatever, and we were, here the last little bit here, because I wanted to make this short, but of course, it's not going to happen.
I know,
but
I feel like we just got through the intro, and I just now looked at what I thought the intro was. What happened with Trump? And I looked at the clock. It's 5 till.
Right.
And now we're talking about what's going on with you, and you're not talking to people. Getting worried.
Well, especially when it comes to politics, I can get passionate. I mean, with the 49ers, oof. I mean, when their game is on, she's like, okay, we're not even going to be in the same room as you. You get way too crazy. I mean, during a Super Bowl, it was not fun.
Oh no.
She just made a face at me like, yeah.
Oh, that's too bad. That's a shame.
Oh God. I really hope they make it again this year so that they can actually win it this time. Can I just see one?
Make it again. Make it again this year so that y'all have to have another week of sleeping on the couch because you kept on yelling during the Super Bowl.
I mean, I know they
won.
Hold on.
What do you mean win one? You're old enough to have seen.
Well, I know they won against the Chargers, and I was 6 or something like that. And I always credit that as the reason why I became a fan of that team. Is because I saw that game. I was like, oh, well, they were beating the shit out of the Chargers. Hell yeah, that's my team right there. And ever since then, but I want to see one where I can actually remember it. I don't want to remember the losses. Those suck. I want to actually remember the wins. Like, come on. Why can't I be a Giants fan where they beat the Patriots twice? God damn it.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, that's
or
one
be a
thing.
Patriots fan where like Tom Brady was a freaking, messiah.
Yeah, because the Cowboys lost some Super Bowls like in the 70s against the Steel Curtain, the Steelers.
They won
because that was the Steelers dynasty years.
They lost against the Colts, didn't they? The field goal.
Yeah, way back, way back.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying is they lost some Super Bowls like when they lost to the Iron or the Steel Curtain Steelers. Right. But that was before my time by many years. they've only won Super Bowls since I've been alive.
Yeah.
Yeah. We turned those L's into W's ever since 1985.
Yeah, the 49ers right now could be 8-0. But no, they had to not run the ball against the Ravens at the end. They had to keep throwing it for whatever reason. And then, Jimmy Garoppolo had to overthrow Emmanuel Sanders, and Brock Purdy just had to have a freaking defender right in his face and throw it to JJ, and he misses it. It's just like, come on.
Now Brandon Ayuk says, "I'm getting the fuck out of here."
Well, I don't know about that. We'll see, but
I mean, I don't know.
I mean, part of me is just like, if he wants to leave and go play for the Redskins, then by all means, go play for them. I mean, I know your best friend's the quarterback. Go play for them. And what are they going to be?
Me personally, as a Vol for life, I just think it's so funny that like a year ago, people were like, "Yeah, man, as soon as this contract year is up, they're gonna cut Juwan, and they're gonna, they'll draft a new wide receiver." And now, fast forward to the end of that season, it's Juwan, please win us the Super Bowl.
Yeah, right.
And then fast forward to the start of this coming season, it's Juwan, we need you to step up and be like the number 2 now.
Yeah, they extended him. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's because everybody died or retired or is leaving and
died.
Yeah, they died.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, before we get way too entrenched in football talk, where can they see It's Too Late with Alan Mosley?
It's right there. Look at that.
Yeah.
At Alan Mosley TV. You go to twitch.tv/Alan Mosley TV, youtube.com/Alan Mosley TV. Just go to Alan Mosley TV. It's so amazing. If you go on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever those things are, you just search Alan Mosley TV. New episodes of It's Too Late with Alan Mosley premiere Wednesday nights at 9:00 Eastern time. We've had so many amazing guests already this season. We've got some really big guests coming up in August. We have a couple of interesting episodes coming up to finish off this month. Next week, give you a little spoiler. We're bringing back the tier list. Next week is the Summer Olympics tier list, where we're going to rank the games of the Summer Olympics.
Wow.
I'm not saying I know for certain which ones are going to be S tier, but I have a weird feeling that beach volleyball is going to be pretty high on the list.
Probably. I would say javelin too, just the off chance that someone will get like impaled.
Yeah, that has happened before.
Ooh.
That guy lived, actually. Someone got javelined through the neck and lived.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, dude, medical science is amazing. Like back in the day, you just, like Achilles, like stepped on he got a sharp pebble in his sandal and he died.
Yeah, we gotta cut your foot off.
Yeah. Now it's you got a javelin in the neck. Let's go to the urgent care.
Well, you have this freaking thing sticking out like your whole body, like in the hospital. Like,
yeah. So it's kind of nuts. I will
Holy
say,
son of a crap! We just broke 1,000 viewers. Look at that.
That's
nice.
Really bad. Yeah, that's not good. Yeah, shouldn't.
I know. This show is growing and growing. We're gonna hit 1 million by next year. Watch.
We should just
joke.
We should just do sports ball.
Yeah, we should. Why not? Let's do it.
Like the election.
Let's
look. There's JC.
Hey, thanks, JC, for the $3.99 super sticker. Thank you.
We're also trying to, speaking of JC there, we're also trying to, I don't know if we're going to be able to do it the last Wednesday of the month, which is technically the last day of July is the 31st. So we technically have 2 episodes left this month. But we've also decided what our next food challenge is going to be. Most recently, we did the Taco Bell tier list where me and Dave had one of every item on the Taco Bell menu.
Terrible. Yeah, the one you're gonna do with and I'm sorry, I'm gonna spoil it, but the Long John Silver's.
Yes,
I would be like, Long John Silver's. You say, oh,
wow, really?
I don't know why not.
I don't know. We've actually had some people in our group that have requested if they could donate to have us not do it. So right
Maybe-
now, we've had so many people contact us saying, could they donate against us doing the Long John Silver's tier list, that we decided the fundraiser is for $300. As soon as we hit $300, then of the people that donated, we're going to count up the money. And if the don't do it's donated more monies than the do it's, then we just won't do it. We'll just do a different episode. But if it's $150+ for do it, then we're doing a Long John Silver's tier list.
JC says the sticker is drinking Fox and Sons coffee. And then he says, can I keep all the crumbs after Alan is done with the LJS challenge?
You know what? You want to know something that's actually just totally weird, random side thing to say before you end the stream here is when we did the Taco Bell tier list, you know, I made a mistake. So I said, well, the only way we're going to do that tier list is if we actually raise money to pay for it. Like, I'm not paying out of pocket for a whole bunch of Taco Bell for me to kill myself on stream for you guys to donate like $20. No. You guys have to raise the money for the Taco Bell, and then we'll do the stream, and we hope to get a bunch of views and a bunch of donations during the stream. For this fundraiser, I said, no, you guys aren't just going to pay for the food. I'm going to pick a dollar amount way above the price of the food. And it's, if we hit it, we'll do it. If we don't hit it, we're not doing it.
Yeah.
And so I only set it at $300 because when we did the Taco Bell tier list, it was like $130 a piece. I spent $130 to get the Taco Bell menu, and Dave spent $130 to get it. The Long John Silver's menu, you realize they don't actually have that much stuff. They have a bunch of items on the menu because it's different size family packs. Well, we're not going to order all the different combos. We're just getting one of each item.
Right.
And you can order stuff a la carte. You can get like 1 chicken, 1 fish, 3 shrimp, 2 hush puppies. You can get them individual sizes.
Mm-hmm.
The Long John Silver's tier list is only $62. That seems like not that much money to have one of everything on the whole menu, but that's it. It's the whole thing. And that's every side. So it's like 1 cup of green beans, 1 cup of corn, 1 cup of coleslaw, 1 cup of rice, 1 piece of cheesecake, because apparently they do cheesecake now.
Oh, hey.
They actually do
Fancy.
Cheesecake Factory cheesecake at Long John Silver's.
It's kind of a random tandem there, like Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, that's definitely going to make me throw up. But so there's the cheesecake, an order of fries. Hush puppies come in sets of 2. The shrimp come in sets of 3. So it's like 3 grilled shrimp, 3 fried shrimp. But yeah, the whole menu is only $62. I couldn't believe it. It's like, okay, so we got to raise 300, but that out of that 300 is going to come like 130 because that's me and Dave going to Long John Silver and saying, "Excuse me, I'd like 1 of each."
Yeah, they're gonna be like, "The fuck."
Yeah. Oh, dude,
no one does that.
You should have been at Taco Bell when we did this shit. I listen. I actually downloaded. I don't do apps. I'm not one of these people that has like the app for 40 different companies on my fucking phone. I don't do that shit. Yeah. I actually downloaded the Taco Bell app for no other reason at all than I could order it through the app. A, to see how much it was going to be, to know how much money to raise. But also B, so that I could order it through the app and set it, like schedule it to be picked for me to go pick it up when it's ready. Because I was like, dude, I don't want to go into the restaurant and walk up to the counter and be like, okay, pull out my grocery list. All right, I'm going to need one of these. Because they'd be like, dude, who is this fucking guy?
Yeah.
So I ordered it through the app and they confirmed the order. But when I did go to pick it up, they had like the 2 or like the 3 of the big brown sacks, carry out sacks. There's like 3 of them stacked to the top with stuff in their little heating tray. And I was like, yeah, those were probably mine because they were all tied together. I was like, yeah, I bet those are mine. And they were like, what is this for? And I'm like, no, it's just for me.
They're like, holy shit, this fucking guy's skinny. Looks, he's gonna fucking eat all this. Oh my god.
So I told him what it was. I told him like, yeah. So I host a podcast and it's in video.
You're like,
and
stop right there. Host a podcast. Stop talking.
Yeah, they should have kicked me out. For
Yeah,
sure.
right.
Yeah, host a podcast, dude. We get it. You're gay. It's 2024. You don't have to. Yeah. But yeah, I was like, no, that's just for me. I told him that we're doing a tier list where we rank the food from our favorite to our least favorite, and so to do it justice, we're gonna do a live taste testing of each one. And they were like, oh wow, that's really cool. And I got one drink. I got the Baja Blast. You know, gotta get Baja Blast, Mountain Dew Baja Blast or whatever.
Yeah.
So I did get that, and yeah. If I had to do it over again, because I've learned, you know, I'm a smart person. I learn from my mistakes.
Oh.
So one thing I'm going to do different with the Long John Silvers is when we did the Taco Bell, we made the mistake of picking out some of the things that we already knew we liked to try first.
Mm-hmm.
And since we liked them, we basically ate most or the whole thing. Like we had like the Mexican pizza. And it's not like it's that big, but you know, if you have 3 bags full of tacos and burritos, you probably should only eat like 1 or 2 bites and then set it aside because you got to pace yourself. Well, what do? We eat the whole Mexican pizza. We eat the whole Nachos Bel Grande, right? And then they eat like 1 burrito, like 80% of it. So having already eaten 3 complete items and having like 27 items left, it's like, oh man, I actually started to feel full. I was like, oh God. Oh no. And so from that point forward, we only ate a little bit, but it was too late. The damage was done. So this time it's going to be like, I'm going to have one of those shitty little plastic sporks that they have. I'm going to have like 1 bite. Boom, rank it, move on. 1 bite, rank it, move on. Yeah. So JC, it won't just be crumbs. It'll be the entire menu minus 1 bite. Yeah.
Maybe he can clone you. You know, he has your DNA now in that corn.
Yeah. I'm just gonna, you know, like eat just the tip, you know, just the tip of the little fish thing and the little chicken thing. And yeah. On a cheesecake does actually make me sick though. So we're probably going to save that for last.
Wow.
Strategically. Like we can't do the cheesecake first. That's going to be bad. Because we got to be ready to end the show.
With you puking?
When I drank like 2 packs of Pepsi, I didn't puke. I did not.
That sounds terrible.
Just along with all of my depression and rage, just push it down.
Like, what am I doing with my life? Drinking this fucking Pepsi. All right, we're gonna end the show now. Oh,
hey, we raised like $400 off of that Pepsi, dude.
Hey, well, there you
it
go.
was $20 per can.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, dude. So I drank like 16 cans.
Bet you had a good time on the toilet later. Oof. All right. We will see you next time. And on that lovely